start to explore all the new stitches that have been added to the BERNINA 790 Pro compared to its previous little sister, we are finding a ton. So from utility stitches to alphabets to sideways motion stitches, even new buttonholes. And you will be surprised that as you jump in and get started, you're going to be amazed. Hi, I'm Sarah from sewingmastery.com, and we're doing the free video tutorials on the BERNINA 790 Pro. But do keep in mind that we have already done over 140 videos on the 790 Plus. Now the 790 Plus and the 790 Pro are nearly identical machines, and we are going to find that a lot of the functions and features are similar, but there has been some added stitches and some added functions like the laser, which we'll be using, especially when we go to stitch out decorative stitches. I love that I can kind of see where that stitch is going to start right on my fabric before I even have to guess where to start. So everybody starts in the same place. Super, super easy. So if you haven't already been engaging the laser light for your sewing, I would say do that every time you turn the machine on. Also too, as you are finding different stitches, this machine has got a massive quantity. If you're unsure what a stitch is, so for example, one of our new utility stitches, you can touch the question mark and then touch the stitch, and it will recommend what it's used for and also give you a name. For example, this one is kind of considered a chain stitch for decorative and reinforcing stitches on most woven fabrics. So we can always come in, ask it what it's doing and what it's used for. So I love that question mark right at my fingertips. Also, if you're kind of tired of scrolling and scrolling and scrolling, remember you can touch this little arrow here and that will open it up so you kind of get more stitches on a page. Now what we're going to do is I've actually pulled up the manuals for the 790 Plus and the 790 Pro just to compare, because a lot of people have been asking what's the differences, but I'm going to kind of point out some of the newer stitches that have been added and also to realize that how many stitches are in here. So for example, we are up to over 700 decorative stitches. We have over 139 sideways motion stitches. So those are the stitches that are indicated with the plus on their folders. The plus means that as you pick one of these stitches, it is bigger than your traditional 9 millimeters wide. There are new stitches in and new categories. There are some new skyline stitches, which is kind of fun when you see the skylines with the names of places. You can find all sorts of new additions throughout this machine. New sewing alphabets and so much more. Now, one of the things we always talk about is a stitch book. So if you haven't already found our video on how to do a stitch book, we've got that in the description below, is to start stitching off some of these new stitches. Now, if this is all new for you, that's exciting. You might just jump into a folder that looks interesting, and it doesn't have to be stitched in order. As you pick the stitch, it's ready to go, and all you have to do is pick the stitch and sew a row. I think that is a great place for people to kind of get comfortable with their machines, with the buttons, the start, the stop, the cut, the picking your different stitches from the different menus, and realizing you can do so much more, including making them smaller, larger, and adjusting their size in infinite possibilities. Okay, so let's go through some of the different newer stitches that we find on the 790 Pro. I've opened up the BERNINA 790 Plus manual, which is on the left, and also the BERNINA 790 Pro manual, which is the one on the right. So I just wanted to let you see comparison. I thought it'd be easier to almost look side by side of how many stitches they've actually added to the BERNINA 790 Plus. We start off with utility stitches being 32 on the first one and 38 on the next. There's more buttonholes, and from decorative stitches, we jump from 505 up to 700. The sideways motion stitches, we jump from 117 to 139. And we are seeing that there is a good variety of stitches that have been added to each of the sections. So as we start and start to kind of scroll through each of these kind of side by side, you'll see the categories start to really get much bigger. So the only thing that I've noticed, and it's not going to be something I can just call out per se, is that not all the stitches are the same. So for example, on the 790 plus, stitch number 171 over here is different than stitch 171 on the BERNINA 790 Pro. So it's not just like a quick apples to apples, but as you can kind of see, as we start to go through the different stitch categories, you'll see the one on the right is going to be quite extensive. They've grown greatly. So each of the groups have more stitches in them. As we look at cross stitches, the satin stitches, here we'll bring these up side by side. You can see how many more those are. The geometric stitches are quite big, even though they spread across a page break here. The white embroidery stitches, you know, one thing I don't think I've ever known is the names of the categories. So today I am realizing that there are categories with names that I actually use quite often. Now, as we get down towards the children stitches, we see quite a big jump. We see children stitches sideways motion, a few more in there. And then we get to some amazing new groupings. Okay, before I go on though, tapering stitches. Have you ever played with the tapering stitches in your machine? So you're able to control the point angle of the beginning and the end for each of the stitches in these categories. Okay, you just have to go try those out. We also see a whole new category as we get down past your international stitches. Here, we'll line those up here, international stitches. And we get into seasons. So this is all new, which goes into the next page. And the sport and hobbies section. So I think you'll have some fun stitching out those stitches. The quilt stitches are also have grown, so please enjoy stitching out. I can see some already I would definitely love to use in the Stitching Cosmos quilt class that we do. And if you haven't already checked it out or started stitching out your stitch book. Now this would be a great reason because even though we're looking at these stitches on the manuals, the pages, which are a little bit bigger than what you see on the screen, they still will look 10 times better stitched out on fabric. And that is why we highly encourage you to start a stitch book. You might even just start with just some of these new categories. I mean, start here with seasons and sport and hobbies and jump into where you know these stitches are some of the newest and you probably haven't seen them on many projects out there from other people. So if you really want to wow your friends, this would be a great place because they've never seen these stitches on that haven't already been on this new machine. So jump there, start stitching them out. We have a great video on how to stitch a stitch book, different ideas about stabilizers and also fabric background colors, how to contain them once you've stitched them, so for easy reference later. But I hope you'll go in, and even though you might not have had a 790 plus in the past, I know that's what we're comparing to, but just the fact that you have all these wonderful stitches on the 790 Pro that are exciting. So stitch them out, post some pictures, share with your friends. You might as well show off what great machine stitches you have. And just wait till we get into the embroidery patterns and monograms that are also included with this fabulous machine. So make sure that you check out the link below this video where you can binge watch all the 790 Plus and Pro videos all in one place. They'll always be there for you. And make sure as you finish each video that you're clicking like on the video before you move on. And if you haven't already, make sure you subscribe to our YouTube channel. Greatly appreciate it. Okay, can't wait to show you what else is new on the BERNINA 790 Pro.